Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Well, the NFL playoffs are almost entirely set. We still got to wait for a couple of things, a couple of one-seed situations, a seven-seed situation in the AFC. We're going to talk about that when I bring in the stars of the show. But let's take a look at the recap screen before we bring them in. And hello, KC3, Mark Buckholtz, Joe Neuenfeld, Brad. Hit the like button if you could. If not for this show, how about for this recap screen? We'll go 6-2. We'll take that every single time. It was pretty much a winning week last week. I think overall, because we missed a day or two, we went 12-9. Nice to start off the week with a 6-2. So on the week, I guess doing the quick math, that would be 18-11 on picks. We will absolutely take that. All right. Well, enough about the past. Let's look to the present and let's bring in the stars of the show. We got Monday Night Football to talk about. We've got college football. There's a game, Tom Casale, at 2:30. We're going to be on the network show at 12, talking some NBA as well. Larry, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sia. Great to be here. And the thing that jumped out to me most from yesterday is obviously that Vikings-Packers game. I mean, that was the game of the day. And Justin Jefferson reasserting himself as clearly the best receiver in football. The way that he created space for Jalen Naylor, for Jordan Addison, for TJ Hockenson. If you watch some of the designs, Sumer Sports has a great breakdown. They're one of those analytical sites where they show the safeties all going with Justin Jefferson and then Jalen Naylor going wide open, and also just the play design from Kevin O'Connell. And that was a very good Green Bay team that had pretty much shut down the run, did a good job against the run. But when you have Justin Jefferson and all those weapons, they're going to be loaded for week 18. Aaron Jones said he will be good to go despite his quad injury. And we'll see what happens to the Lions. Are they going to lose anyone tonight? Because we know they're going all out.
Well, it's interesting. Mackenzie, I want to get your reaction to NFL Sunday as well. It's interesting because the Lions really have nothing to play for tonight. And maybe that's why the line is holding at 3.5, because next week it's a battle of them versus Minnesota for the number 1 seed, which I never thought I'd be saying out loud. Mackenzie Brooks, we thought it would probably be the Eagles and the Lions battling for the number 1 seed. Anyway, your reaction to Sunday?
Well, although we are not battling for the 1 seed, I am very happy with the Dallas Cowboys smackdown at home with Saquon hitting 2,000 rushing yards. So it was a good day overall when you think about the present. Now, looking back, I'm stunned also that it's the Vikings that are competing with the Lions for this. But nonetheless, it was a good Sunday to be an Eagles fan. I will say I boarded my flight when we were up like 27-7, which is exactly what happened last week when we were up 24-7 to the Commanders. And I got off said flight and we had lost the game. So we were sweating a little bit boarding that American Airlines flight, but this one turned out a lot better.
Well, we Commanders fans, we're sweating that game and we're sweating yesterday. Honestly, the better team the last 2 weeks was probably the Eagles and the Falcons. Obviously, the Eagles would have won if Jalen Hurts was playing. Falcons, I thought, outplayed the Washington Commanders last night, but when you have Jaden Daniels, anything is possible. I mean, this guy is so poised, so good, so talented, so dynamic. Tom, your reaction to NFL Sunday? I know you break down more college football than NFL, so maybe you have reaction there, but your reaction to football this weekend in general?
Yeah, well, I was really impressed with the Vikings again. Green Bay's a team is coming on late that I kind of like in the NFC. And hey, listen, the score doesn't tell that game. Minnesota dominated it for 3.5 quarters. So I was impressed with them. And man, if you are a Giants fan, you've got to be sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that. What are those fans in the stands doing there cheering? They don't know football. They're just rich people in the stands that don't understand football. Because I had dozens of Giants fans texting me saying they wanted to throw up yesterday now that they're not in charge for that first pick. The players are going to still try and the coach. But imagine a team who hasn't showed up in a month coming and winning that game like that, and what were the Colts doing? Boy, they didn't look ready to play. So I think it just makes it interesting betting late in the season in the NFL. You're trying to find these teams who are still trying, who aren't trying. But I'll tell you, I kept waiting for the Vikings to turn back into a pumpkin. It didn't happen. They're the real deal, and they're going to be tough in the playoffs.
100%. Danny Brasco is in the chat. He says, "Hi, it's me. I'm a Giants fan." But he also says, "I don't want Shedeur Sanders for the Giants," which is an interesting comment. Maybe he wants Cam Ward. Big Cheesy says, "I need a college basketball pick from Thomas. He is a cash machine." Well, you can go to SportsLine for that. I know he's got a college football pick on the show today. Let's finally get to some picks. I thought yesterday was really worth kind of breaking down. You're right. Minnesota, Green Bay, super exciting game. Exciting times next week. I mean, I think that Sunday night game, Vikings to wrap up the 1 seed would be unbelievable. And honestly, I think they can beat Detroit. So we'll have to wait and see on that. All right, let's talk about Monday Night Football. Let's talk about Detroit. Larry, you've got a pick. It's on the other side of the ball, though, and it pertains to Brock Purdy.
Yeah, Brock Purdy rushing yards over 17.5. Basically, any quarterback who can run a little bit, who plays against Aaron Glenn's defense, seems to go over their rushing prop. Number one, since he became the Lions defensive coordinator in terms of allowing QBs to scramble. And that's by design. I mean, they play man coverage 42% of the time. That's the number one rate in the NFL. They're willing to live with a few scrambles. They want to get home with the pressure. So they're very aggressive. They open those running lanes. And we've seen Brock Purdy this season be more willing to take off when he does get out of the pocket. He's also playing with a completely decimated left side of his offensive line. So there could be some quick pressure from the Lions coming that way. I just love this play. Brock Purdy over 17.5 rushing. And, you know, this year, Aaron Glenn's, the opposing QBs are only third in terms of rushing. But if you go back in his career, he's number one, and it all goes back to the man coverage.
Danny Brasco says, nice play, Larry. I like this heavy man coverage. We know when we're looking for quarterback runs, we prefer man over zone. Mackenzie, I think you had something on this as well.
Dare I challenge you with a Jared Goff over half a rushing yard? Not an official pick. However, I have looked into it. We don't have a primetime show today, so might as well sprinkle out a few more picks that aren't my official ones. But this is banking on no kneel downs, and this is definitely a sweat through the fourth quarter. If you're into that, then this play is for you. But he hasn't gone back-to-back weeks without at least a rushing yard all season, and he doesn't have David Montgomery, who's a good pass protector, so he might need to scramble against this pass rush. Just putting it on your radar, guys. We're looking for a yard from our boy.
Hey, if you want to sprinkle in other model plays throughout the show, you have carte blanche to do that. Okay, we'll transition from quarterback running. We're going back to the NFL, by the way, later in this show. But let's go to college football first because, Tom, we've got a bowl game. These are placed so curiously. Like, I would have thought this would have been at 7 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock or something like that. But it's 2:30 this afternoon. Okay, if that's what we're doing. But we have a player prop that you like, and it involves Theo Weiss Jr.
Yeah, listen, and it's a bowl game with Iowa, so it's probably not going to be the most exciting one on the slate, right? But I like his over 63.5 receiving yards. Brady Cook, the starting quarterback for Missouri, is going to play, but Luther Burden, their star receiver, opted out. The starting tight end is out. And you look at Weiss over his last 4 games, he's gone over this number all 4 times. Over that span, he's averaged 4.5 receptions for 82 yards. Iowa's top cornerback opted out, and you can't just sit there and run the ball against the Hawkeyes. They're too good up front. So they use Weiss in a lot of different ways. They use him on screens. They use him down the field. So I think you're looking at 8 or 9 targets today, and that should get us over the 63.5 yards.
All right, Theo Weiss Jr. over 63.5 receiving yards. Looking for some offense in this Iowa-Missouri game. Listen, this is a good question. Larry, I'm going to kick this off of you, and Mackenzie, if you want to weigh on this as well. Interesting. Mark Buckholt says, thoughts on Detroit Lions first quarter -0.5 at +114. Just so you know, I just checked the money line odds. It's like in that -140 range. That's why he's laying the 0.5 point. He says he's not sure how he feels about it. Larry, I kind of like this because I do think and I know this is a Dan Campbell team and they don't take their foot off the gas and all of that stuff, but there is the possibility that in the second half, we start to see them sort of throttle down, maybe replace some players like Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes, but I do think they'll go all out in the first quarter here. They're the much better team. I feel like instead of attacking the 3.5, which is a curious line since it's holding and everybody loves the Lions, I feel like the first quarter is actually the angle here. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, they're definitely going to go all out. I mean, the regular rules don't apply to Dan Campbell, and he doesn't care what anyone thinks about it. So, yeah, they're definitely going to come out fast. They're going to come out strong. Like that look a lot at plus money.
I do too. Mackenzie, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, if it wasn't plus money, I would think about it more, but I definitely like it at that price.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Well, if you want to make that bet suggested by Mark Buckholtz or any of these bets in the chat from so many people who are cappers as a part of this Early Edge family that show up every single morning. We appreciate you. Hit the like button, by the way. If you want to make those bets, Well, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you will receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. Oh, we got to get back to some more NFL picks, and we're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, we've got some picks in the chat, some questions in the chat. First half over is a suggestion from KC3. I don't hate that. I certainly like a first half team total over from the Lions side, kind of more than anything. I'm not exactly sure what to expect from that San Francisco offense, but Mackenzie, you know what to expect from one Isaac Guerendo. I know you have two picks, and we're actually headed to the NFL and the NBA, which we absolutely love. So talk to us about Isaac Guerendo first.
Yeah, look, I want to focus on this side, the Niners side of the ball, knowing that they will be trying relative to the Lions. I just don't know what we're going to get out of them. But with Guerendo, I'm going to attack his receiving yards here. And this is about the usage truly. Like when he is the primary back, he is soaring over this number. Soaring might be dramatic for 18 yards, 50 yards, and 17 receiving yards with 9 receptions. So I'm willing to believe, based off the lines you see for his rushing yards, rush attempts, like any line related to him, it seems like he is 100% good to go and will be that primary back. So he averages basically 8 yards per reception. And I understand we probably won't get there in one reception, but he does have that upside. Like I could see him knocking this out with one reception. 12.5 is the line right now. It's steamed up from 11.5. So certainly something I'd hop on now before it climbs anymore, but the model makes it 17 yards.
Okay. And I think we could see sort of a passing game script from the San Francisco 49ers in this one. It certainly kind of leads to my pick, which we'll get to because I know we still have to get to NBA. But yeah, I could absolutely see Isaac Guerendo catching a couple out of the backfield here. All right, transition to the NBA. We like the Jazz.
Yeah, we like the Jazz today and we like Charlotte today. Those are two different dogs that we're going to be looking at, but we're going to go with Utah for this play. It is pretty disgusting, I will say. They are playing Denver, but they've quietly been a covering machine. Like they're 5-0 ATS in their last 5 games, and Denver just isn't necessarily the same team when they're on the road. And obviously I do think the world of this team. It just seems like a pretty big spread now. Sharp money also is moving this one, which is making me feel really confident in my plays today. Not to jinx myself here, but again, just a turnover margin here. You have Utah with the rebounding advantage too. They're out rebounding teams by 4 home and away, barely, cracking 1 rebound advantage for Denver on the road. So again, just a play on home and road splits. A Utah team that has been covering. Do I think they win the game? No, but do I think 7 points is a little too much? I do.
All right. So we're taking the Jazz. We're taking Isaac Guerendo over receiving yards. We're probably taking some questions after I deliver this pick. Ricky Pearsall over 19.5 receiving yards. Larry, I know this is a look you like as well. I see it. Danny Brasco talking in the chat. A lot of us talking about the aggressive Lions defense, banged up defense, aggressive defense, play a lot of man coverage. I think we're going to see Ricky Pearsall, who, oh, by the way, has gotten 4 targets over the last 2 games. I think we're going to see him beat man coverage. And I think we're at a phase of the 49ers season where you're just going to want Ricky Pearsall on the field a little bit more, see what you got out of him, get him some reps going into next season. And that's kind of what we're seeing with his snap count and his target share. So again, his receiving yard prop is 19.5, 20.5 at some places. I like that. I think Pearsall is an absolute ladder candidate, especially in a likely negative game script, and especially with the team in the 49ers that I don't think are going to be able to run the ball super effectively. I noticed somebody in the chat likes Purdy's over 254.5 passing yards. That's Carlos. I think that's an efficient line. I don't hate the over there, but I do think guys like Juwan Jennings, George Kittle, and Ricky Pearsall specifically, I am leaving Debo out of it a little bit here. I think they can beat man coverage in a pretty big way, especially Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. So I think Ricky is a ladder candidate. The floor is unfortunately kind of low for him, but in this particular situation, I think the Niners are going to be giving him a few more looks than they normally would with nothing on the line. Larry, talk to me, because I know you like this one too.
Yeah, well, there's a narrative angle too. If you saw the video, he was getting chewed out by the receivers coach last week because he had 2 illegal formation penalties on the same drive. And this is a guy who took it the right way and, is going to be hyper focused. And they're not trying to, scold him or put him in a doghouse. They need him. He's their first round pick. So they want to get him going. So I think that's a good look. And then also Purdy was asked about Pearsall and why they haven't connected so much. And the first thing he said was, I know this guy beats man coverage. So tonight is the night, if ever there was a night for Ricky Pearsall.
I think that's a really good way to put it. I mean, there's another thing kind of floating around here, and I saw it all over Twitter. Ladd McConkey was drafted 4 picks after Ricky Pearsall. And I got to be honest, I don't think Kyle Shanahan is unaware of this, that Ladd McConkey is having the season he's having. And the guy he drafted before Ladd McConkey, obviously, he suffered the gunshot wound and was sort of out of commission for the first part of the season. But you do want to showcase this guy. He was a first-round pick. He runs a 4.140. Like, again, talking about man coverage, this is a guy that can absolutely beat it against a bad secondary, a bad front seven right now because of the injuries. And Carlton Davis is out for this game too. There was something, Tom, I want to get to you before I look at more NFL picks potentially, or I should say more NFL questions. Somebody did ask if you liked Iowa plus the 3. Any thoughts on the side? I know you gave out the prop, but any thoughts on the side or the total here of 40?
Yeah, I do lean Iowa as the underdog here. They're, outside of the academy teams, I always, before Wisconsin had their coaching changes, I always used to bet Iowa and Wisconsin in bowl games. Those are the teams that come and try the hardest. I mean, Iowa's going to come and give full effort no matter who's playing. And you see Missouri's missing a lot of key players on defense. I think they'll be able to run the football. So I would make this line closer to -1 or a pick 'em for Missouri. So there's a little value there, I think, with the +3 if you want to bet the game.
Okay. By the way, Mark Buckholz, thank you very much. It's a 4.4140, not a 4.1. That would be absolutely insane. He'd been a number 1 overall pick, most likely. Not in this year's draft, but yeah, thank you, Mark, because I think I have that typo in my pick over at SportsLine as well. So 4.4140, not 4.1. That would be absolutely crazy. All right. Before we get to the recap screen, I do want to see if there are any other NFL questions. Larry, did you see any other NFL questions you thought we needed to go to? Because again, we don't have the primetime show. Those will be coming back soon. We don't have it tonight. I want to make sure I get to everything. Did you see anything, Larry?
No, I saw there was a question for Tom about the TCU game and 14.5 and his opinion on that.
Yeah, so I like Arizona here. My problem is I cut the college basketball season down to 3 halves. Now we're in the second half of the season. We're just starting that. And I can't lay 14.5 with Arizona because they don't have a lot of ways to score. But what TCU is going to do is they're going to play them fast. That's Arizona's game. I think they'll pull away here. I leaned Arizona. I looked at the total as well. I think it probably goes over. I don't bet a ton of totals. I also think Arizona team total overs in play here because I think they get to the number. I just don't know if TCU isn't a great team this year. My lean is Arizona pulls away here in the second half and covers the 14.5.
Okay, Larry, and you have something as well for tomorrow that you wanted to address.
You know what? It's actually it's about this man, Tom Casale, who we just heard talk about college basketball. I'm thrilled that we were able to lock this guy up for the near future at SportsLine. This is a number 1 college basketball guy in the country, bar none.
I agree.
His analysis, the early numbers he's giving you on Discord, and they are hitting, because you got the early number. I'm just so glad he's with SportsLine. He's also a gentleman, as everyone can tell by the way he interacts with everyone. But it doesn't hurt that he's something like ridiculous, like 60-25 since he came to SportsLine in college basketball.
Mackenzie, why did you start laughing when Larry said he's a gentleman? What was that about?
That is not true. I think Tom is a gentleman. And it is wild because, no offense, Tom, you think at some point, like you're saying, like the Vikings, maybe you'll turn into a pumpkin. It seems you've never done that. So it's back to the heater you've been on for about a year.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the kind words, and I'm thrilled to be here at SportsLine with all these great people.
That's great to hear. Absolutely love to see it. And for some of you that maybe you're not a member of SportsLine, I mean, I got to tell you, it's so incredibly inexpensive. You get so much beyond the picks themselves, but you certainly want Tom's picks. You certainly want his alerts on because the lines change very quickly after he gives them out. And again, at sportsline.com/join, go there. If you type in the promo code winners, you get 60% off the annual plan. Sportsline.com/join, type in the promo code winners. All right, let's get to the recap screen before we get out of here. I should note that today at 12 o'clock, me, Mackenzie Brooks, and Larry will be on CBS Sports Network for 30 minutes addressing some of Monday Night Football, the NBA slate, and college football as well, looking ahead to other bowl games. All right, I got Ricky Pearsall over 19.5 receiving yards tonight at -113. Larry likes that, but he also likes Brock Purdy over 17.5 rushing yards at -120. Tom Casale today at 2:30, Iowa, Missouri, Theo Weiss Jr., over 63.5 receiving yards. Mackenzie Brooks, Isaac Guerrero over 11.5 receiving yards at -120, and the Jazz +6.5 versus the Nuggets. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible show. Love your pick, Maestro, says Big Cheesy. That's interesting. I nominate Jeff Stenberg to be Tom Casale's agent. Well, it turns out he doesn't need an agent right now because he's locked in with us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being locked in with us. We appreciate you every single morning. We'll see you tomorrow morning as well, maybe on CBS Sports Network later today. Check us out on SportsLine. Check out the SportsLine Discord as we will be breaking this game down in the Discord for the pendency of the day up to kickoff. On behalf of Tom Casale, Mackenzie Brooks, Larry Hartstein, a.k.a. The Maestro, and of course, Debo on the 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s. This has been The Early Edge. Have a great Monday, everybody. I'm the Counselor of Cash. We rest our case.